Ford doesn't really want you to drive the Mustang Mach-E. If they did, they would have at least a half-baked way for you to do that easily. Instead, it's extremely complicated. I'm highly motivated, and I've been looking for a long time, and it took a lot of perseverance on my part to find a Mach-E, lasso that puppy, and get my butt in the driver's seat for a test drive. I finally did drive one, and I can tell you, it's a really nice car. Side note here, I've noticed now since filming this video that the delivery time on Ford's website is showing 24 plus weeks. Real quick, if you wouldn't mind ponying up a like, oh, I'm sorry, I probably just talked you out of it, but seriously, I tend to mash the like button when they ask me to if it's content that I'm interested in, so I'd appreciate it if you would click that like button for me as I start this channel. This makes me wonder, does Ford even really want to sell this vehicle right now? Why aren't there any in showrooms? Why doesn't, every dealer have a nice one, like, an all-wheel drive, well-appointed one that people can take for test drives, test it out? Why haven't they followed Tesla's model of, if you're not going to do that in every dealership, then have some central place where people can sign up, reserve a time, and go test drive one? It makes me think that Ford doesn't want to sell this vehicle right now. At least they don't want to sell a whole lot of them. It's a nice car. There are people here in America who would pony up the cash for a, big, comfortable American car with a Mustang badge on it. Am I one of those people? That's what I wanted to know. And that's why I felt I needed to find one and drive it before I decide which EV I'm going to order and follow through with that order to the tune of $50-some thousand online. But the dealership experience, let me tell you. Oh, the fact that you still have to go through dealerships, it's infuriating. And it's an Achilles heel. And maybe Ford does want to sell this vehicle, and maybe dealerships are going to be one of the reasons that hold them back. The way that I finally found a Mustang Mach-E to drive was actually not by Ford's inventory search or their schedule a test drive thing. All of that stuff failed. I was looking, what are people actually paying for this vehicle? And I looked on TrueCar, and I found out people are paying a couple $1,000s over MSRP for the Mustang Mach-E. The lower trim levels, it was like $1,200 or $1,300 over MSRP. But then I scrolled down and I saw some local inventory. And one of the places that had inventory was outside of the Austin Metroplex. And it said that it was a premium trim, but I jumped at the chance when they said that they actually had it in person that I could drive, to go down there and drive. I don't know if they're having battery supply issues or if they just have that much interest. Maybe it's a combination of both. Either way, 24 plus weeks to get a Mach-E if you ordered today. So maybe they don't want you to drive the vehicle. Okay, so wrapping up, a couple of interesting things about one-pedal driving. So it was weird. I started out in one-pedal driving because I wanted to compare the Model Y one-pedal driving feel that I experienced in my test drive to the Mach-E. And it felt, like normal one-pedal driving there for a little bit. But then as I was leaving the dealership lot and pulling out onto the street, I felt this little like a shudder or like a vibration, or just it felt like something was wrong with the car as it was coming to a stop at the stop sign in one pedal driving mode. And it happened again a couple of times in one pedal driving mode, where it just seemed like right as you're making that transition from moving to the vehicle realizing that it's going to come to a stop, it does this weird little shudder or vibration. And I know I'm not the only one who's noticed this, so I don't think it was just that car. But Ford definitely has something to work out there in terms of the pedal feel. And another thing that was weird is, as I was driving the vehicle, I commented to the salesman that it didn't feel as quick as I thought it was going to feel when I was going around some turns. In particular, one big kind of sweeping U-turn, like a U-turn under the freeway. And he said, well, let's take it out of one pedal driving mode, and that's going to make it a lot more exciting for you to drive. And I was like, okay, because I didn't notice in the Model Y anything different about one pedal driving mode that would make me feel like it was holding back somehow because of the regenerative braking. But it turned out he was right. Like with one pedal driving mode turned off, it was a little bit more fun to drive in anywhere where there was a change in pedal input. You know, like if you're on the throttle and then you let off a little bit and then you're on the throttle again. Maybe, you know, I was looking for like accelerate, coast, brake, accelerate, you know, a little bit of that in between. But it seems like the Mach-E just goes straight from you're on the throttle to you're braking, and there's no, like, in we would call it deadband in HVAC terms. It just immediately took over and started slowing the vehicle down. It was noticeably less enjoyable to drive in one pedal mode, and that's interesting because it's not something that I experienced with the Model Y. Although I would be curious to take both vehicles on kind of a twisty road and see how the pedal feels different in one pedal driving mode between the two vehicles. But it ultimately made the one pedal driving in the Mach-E feel unusable to me. I just turned it off and left it off for the rest of the test drive. You know, so of course the salesman asked me at the end if I wanted to buy the vehicle, and I told him honestly that if I was to order a Mach-E, that it would, based on that test drive, it would have to be the all-wheel drive version. And he said, or maybe the GT, and I thought, well, I don't want to spend that much money, but he might be right. I mean, that is a big, heavy vehicle, and you need a lot of horsepower to overcome the weight of all those batteries. That's probably somewhere where Tesla has an advantage in having more efficient battery tech, because the vehicles don't have to have as much horsepower to overcome all that extra weight. I didn't get to drive the all-wheel drive version, but the driving experience in the rear-wheel drive version left me underwhelmed. I came away feeling like, where's the exhilaration? Where's the Mustang? Y'all come back now, you hear?